And thank you so much. I'd like to warmly welcome you to Duff House. My name is Katie, and I'm the head of region for Historic Environment Scotland, and I am so pleased to see so many people here, really to celebrate this wonderful accomplishment of the Friends of Duff House. And the local Polish community in this new exhibition, The Eagle and the Unicorn. Providing this type of support to local communities is a really important activity for us at Historic Environment Scotland, and we're delighted to see a second of this type of exhibition come here to the Long Gallery. Following the successful Friends of Duff House exhibition about World War II, which finished last week, and which, when I came to visit on my first visit to Duff House, I found really, really inspiring. It's great to see so many people coming together to celebrate this dynamic community that has left such an incredibly important mark on the Northeast, and specifically Duff House. Our team are happy to show you some of the original graffiti by the Polish soldiers that we were able to preserve in the restoration of the house, and you can see some of that as you go through. I've met some of you already, but I'm really looking forward to meeting and speaking to the rest of you. If you have any questions about our work, please do come and talk to me. And our team are on hand today to support in any way possible. But this is absolutely about the accomplishments of the Polish community here and the Friends of Duff House. So again, really pleased to see this work in place. I'd now like to welcome the Consul General for the Republic of Poland, Mr. Miroslav Sich, and he has a few words to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Dear friends, it's a great honor to stand before you today to mark the 18th anniversary of the end of the Second World War with the opening of the exhibition The Eagle, the Unicorn, and the Untold Stories. On the 1st September 1939, Poland was the first country to face the aggression from the Nazi Germany, followed by the attack from the Soviet Russia on the 17th of September. For over 5 weeks, Poland fought alone. But the Republic of Poland did not capitulate. It continued to fight. Yet, in that darkness, there was also light. The courage, friendship, and solidarity across borders that gradually started arriving. Polish men and women who found themselves in Britain, and especially here in Scotland, carried with them not only the pain of exile, but also the determination to fight for freedom alongside their new allies. Our Polish soldiers fought across the world, on all fronts of the Second World War, many also from Scotland, where they were evacuated to after the capitulation of France. Many of those brave soldiers were stationed here in the northeast of Scotland. The 9th Polish Lancer, stationed in Banff, became part of the local community. They trained, they served, they made friendship that lasted a lifetime. There was no happy end for Poland on the 2nd of September 1945, with the end of the war, as Poland was placed under a communist regime and many Polish soldiers chose not to go back to Poland uncertain of their fate. They planted new roots in Scotland while keeping the memory of Poland alive in their hearts. Today, as we remember those who never returned, we also honor the bonds that were forged between our two nations. This anniversary is not only about commemorating the past, it's very much about ensuring that their sacrifice is never forgotten, and that we continue to build bridges of understanding between our nations. I wish to extend my heartfelt thanks to the Banff Preservation and Heritage Society, Friends of Duff House, and to Historic Environment Scotland and the local community councils for keeping this history alive. Through your dedication, future generation will continue to learn the stories of courage, sacrifice and friendship that shaped our common history. I also say thank you to the families of Polish soldiers who settled here in Scotland, and especially to those who connected with the 9th Polish Lancer Regiment in Banff. Thank you, and please enjoy the exhibition.
Consul General, Seamus Logan, our Member of Parliament, Can Adam, our Member of the Scottish Parliament, organisers of this event, ladies and gentlemen. May I especially welcome all for whom this is maybe your first visit to this area, to our historic Banffshire, and may it not be your last. You are very welcome back. Communities in Banffshire have a proud history of global connections. In just this last few days, I've had conversations about Japan, links with Canada, Argentina, and Germany. Some of these relate to people from Banffshire travelling abroad. Others concern people from these other countries coming to Banffshire. Today, we celebrate and remember a unique global link. There are 5 of us speaking this morning, and hopefully to avoid too much repetition, please allow me to provide some personal reflections. As a retired head teacher, I have very positive memories from the early years of the 21st century, when I had the very pleasant task of welcoming and enrolling Polish families into my school. But to my shame, little did I realise at the time that these were not the first Poles to be settling in the northeast of Scotland. And it was very different circumstances, as we've heard already, that led the Polish servicemen arriving in Banff in the 1940s. In 1945, when people from many nations who'd been involved in the Second World War were able to return home, the Poles who'd been stationed here in Banffshire and in Scotland were not able to go back to the place of their birth. And today, we celebrate not just their lives, but also their contributions to life in this area. When I was first approached about supporting the Eagle and the Unicorn, my mind immediately went back to the spring of 2010. In particular, I recalled the day when I was doing duty in the canteen of the school at lunchtime. It will make sense. As I was standing there, a delegation, I think that's the right word, of Polish students came up to me. The news had come through of the death of the 4th President of the Republic of Poland, who had died in an aircraft crash. And these pupils asked me if they could lead an assembly for the whole school to celebrate the life and memory of their president, and also of their traditions and heritage. I said yes very quickly, and will forever remember their confidence and the empathy that they showed. Those assemblies were very moving events, and from the students' presentations, many of us, not least myself, learned a great deal. It added much to the life of the school. So when Mary asked me about becoming involved with the Eagle and the Unicorn, I knew immediately that this would be a good thing. For there would be the opportunity to celebrate the lives, the contributions and achievements of previous generations. In this case to the war, and also to our area. I anticipated that this would again be an opportunity to learn much that would enrich all of us who are here today, and everyone who will view the exhibition in the coming weeks and months. I also recognised that, like my former pupils, the organisers would work hard to deliver an event that would provide a positive impact on our own community. So may I add my own thanks and appreciation to everyone involved in sharing your stories and the very hard work of putting together this exhibition. And I had no hesitation when we were discussing this, that it was appropriate on such an important occasion as this to send a letter of loyal greetings to His Majesty, King Charles III. And His Majesty has responded, and it is my pleasure and privilege to close with his words. The letter was written on behalf of John West from Duff Heritage Society, and the letter comes from James Dawson, Private Secretary's Office of His Majesty the King. And James Dawson says, "The King has asked me to thank you for the kind letter of loyal greetings you sent on the occasion of your programme of events, which will celebrate the role of Polish soldiers based in Bamfshire during the Second World War, which is being held between the 31st of August and the 1st of September. His Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did, and in return has asked me to send his heartfelt warm good wishes to all those who will be present for a most memorable series of events." And it's signed by James Dawson, Private Secretary's Office of His Majesty King Charles III. Welcome, thank you, enjoy, and I know I've already learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody here will learn much that will enrich all of our lives today and in the coming weeks and months. Thank you.
Thank you. Friends, when you walk into Duff House, not just today, I think, but every day, I know that I often feel the weight of history that's here, and I always really enjoy coming here to find out more about the history of it. This building has been many things. It was a grand home, it was a prisoner of war camp, a wartime headquarters, and after the war, it became a place where Polish soldiers, unable to return home, found themselves waiting and wondering what their future might be. The present lingers still in faint, stenciled Polish words on the walls. To me, it's a quiet reminder that these rooms once held their voices, but also their hopes. And I think that is why, especially, that the eagle and the unicorn, the untold stories, matter so much. Because it brings those faint reminders back to life, and we see that today. And it tells us not just of military campaigns, but of families rebuilding and friendships forged in football clubs, of gatherings at the Coffee Pot Cafe. And these are the human details that do carry that history forward. Last night, I had the opportunity at the Remembrance Service to talk about my grandfather's connection with a Polish ex-serviceman who became his neighbour. And it is a reminder of how close history really is. It's not something distant in a book, but it is our lived experience. And it's passed down in our families and in our own communities. And we have a responsibility to continue passing that down. And it's for that reason that I wanted to lodge a motion in the Scottish Parliament, and I want to share that with you today. I've submitted this in, that the Parliament commends the ongoing project led by Banffman Adam Golembiewski to collect and share the stories of Polish families who settled in the northeast of Scotland during and after the Second World War. It recognises what it sees as the project's vital role in preserving a unique chapter of shared Scottish-Polish heritage and in fostering understanding across generations. Welcomes the involvement of local institutions, including Duff House, which is hosting an exhibition highlighting this rich history, and Buckie Thistle Football Club, whose support helped Polish servicemen and their families integrate into local life. Gives special thanks to the late Gordon Mackenzie of the Coffee Pot on High Street, Banff, who generously supported the project by offering a regular meeting place for the group, a role the cafe continues to play today. Further acknowledges the contributions of Macduff Heritage Centre in supporting local historical awareness and engagement, and encourages all those with connections to this remarkable story to come forward and contribute to a project that celebrates identity, resilience, and a proud history of welcoming and embracing new cultures to Scotland's shores. So I want to thank Adam and the families who have given their memories to this project, and I want to thank Bucky Thistle and the Coffee Pot for the warmth of their welcome. And I also want to thank the volunteers of Macduff Heritage and the Friends of Duff House who have worked so hard to preserve and present this history to us today. We live in a time where the rhetoric around refugees and people fleeing war has grown harsh and divisive. But this exhibition reminds us of a truth that history provides to us. When people are welcomed, communities are enriched. The Polish families of Banffshire gave us their hard work, their culture, their friendships, their children, their grandchildren, and we are better for their presence. So to our Polish, Scottish families, thank you for staying here and for the lives that you built here. Thank you especially for sharing your stories with us today, which enrich all of our lives. Thank you so very much. Dziękuję.
Good morning, Kate Milafacha, distinguished guests. I've no speech. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say what a great honour it is to be asked to speak to you today on this very auspicious occasion. I learned of this event many months ago by sheer happenstance. I became aware of a constituent, a member of the Polish community who was facing very difficult circumstances, and I invited himself and his father's family to come and visit with me in London, and during that visit I heard about the plan for today's event. And I've had a look round these boards, and to my amazement I find a relative of Adam's here right behind me, and I was so struck by Adam's fortitude under the challenging circumstances that he faced. Yet, when I read the tribute to this gentleman, Adam's great-grandfather, I learn very quickly of the sort of characteristics that will help Adam continue to deal with the challenges that he will face in the future. I'm delighted to be here as a guest of the Polish community and of this exhibition, because we have many communities across this constituency, not only in my own hometown of Fraserburgh, Peterhead, Banff, Macduff, Bucky, and they enrich our lives, as Karen Adam has said. But I encourage you to read the amazing stories on these boards. And I want to pay tribute to the organisations, the many of them who've been involved in creating this exhibition. And I want to particularly thank Mary Arnold for the work that she has done. I'd like you to put your hands together in that. Of course, we celebrate the long and deep connections between those Polish soldiers who came here during World War II. And we are very acutely aware of the difficult circumstances facing Poland and other nations as a result of the illegal war by Putin in Ukraine. And once again, we must stand together to ensure that we do not face tyranny again into the future. Now, I just want to finish with some personal reflections. When I think of great Polish people, who do you think of? You may think of Chopin, yeah, he was Polish, or perhaps Lech Walesa, the former president of Poland. I think of Marie Curie, a very distinguished individual, a charity that is founded in her name I support and continue to support. She, of course, won Nobel Prizes in both physics and chemistry. But believe it or not, it's goalkeepers that I think of. Yes, goalkeepers. Some of you may be old enough to remember a guy called Jan Tomaszewski. Yes. Famously kept England at bay in 1973 and succeeded in Polish qualification for the World Cup. I also think of the holy goalie, Artur Boric, who of course was the goalkeeper for my own favourite team, Celtic. And last but not least, a gentleman that a saint that that we referred to last night, Karl Wojtyla, he was a goalkeeper in his youth. Of course, best known as Pope John Paul II. And it's those kinds of things that I recall personally when I think of the Polish community and Poland itself. A country whom I'm told is the most amazing place to visit. And I strongly recommend that you do that because the hospitality and the warmth of the reception you will receive will be second to none. So on that note, I want to end and to say thank you for coming and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered here today to celebrate and to remember Polish soldiers who, after the war, found their new homeland here in Scotland. These are extraordinary stories of extraordinary men. They came here from all walks of life, but they had one thing in common. When Poland was attacked in September 1939, they rose up in arms to defend their homeland. To continue their fight and to reach Great Britain, where the Polish army was regrouping, they took different routes, some through Hungary, Yugoslavia, France or Italy, others through the Middle East. The details of these journeys are not known, but it was not an easy task. These men were brave, they were determined, they were prepared for the worst, but they would have never thought when the war is over, they may not be able to return home. To start a new life far away from home in a foreign country is never easy. It is often traumatic. But Scots know this too. In the past centuries, many had to abandon their homeland as well. Some Scots settled in Poland, merchants, sailors and soldiers. At the end of the 17th century, Warsaw, the capital city of Poland, had a Scottish mayor, Alexander Chalmers, born here in Duff, near Aberdeen. When he left Scotland, he was only 14, and yet he achieved so much, so he must have been doing something right. Now, both Scottish and Polish immigrants form one of the biggest diasporas in the world. What we learn from the stories of Polish soldiers gathered in this project is that, like Scots in Poland in the past, they did well. They built their new lives from scratch, working hard, very hard, learning the language, the customs, adjusting to new circumstances, changing their professions. For example, several became crofters. They just kept going, never ever giving up. They found friendship here, they found love. Although maybe the famous dancing skills of Polish soldiers had something to do with it. They started families and became pillars of their communities. Like Jan Borowski, the goalkeeper of the Deveron Vale Football Club, or Cornelius Fromholz, who won many prizes at flower shows and was president of the bowling club. Jerzy Grabowski was fundamental in saving Kriwi when the local authorities wanted to move people out of the village. Władysław Heinrich was a founding member of the Portsoy Sailing Club. Emil Wójcik and Henryk Wiśniewski organized Christmas parties for children in Baki. We have many, many such stories. Emil Wójcik asked in 1966 who he would support if Poland and Scotland were in the World Cup final. Answered, everybody knows it, it doesn't matter, I win either way. Scotland did become their homeland. This exhibition endeavors to tell their stories, how they arrived in Scotland and put their roots here. But what we cannot tell is the story of the loss of Poland, their families and friends there. Some were never able to see their parents in Poland again. We can only try to imagine this pain and suffering, because this was something they didn't want to talk about. We have presented the stories of 16 Poles. When we started this project, we had very little information at first, but we learned so much thanks to the wonderful response of the communities here. It was true quest for us, volunteers on the project, trying to collect every little piece of information, from documents, archives, newspaper clipping, family stories. I must stress that it would not be possible if not for the support from Macduff Heritage Society. Mary Arnold, whose researcher skills were invaluable, and Ian Williams from Friends of Duff House, who designed and prepared all the boards. Our thanks also go to Historic Environment Scotland and the Duff House staff for allowing us to use this wonderful space today and for the exhibition. And let me use this opportunity to express my own gratitude for inviting me to participate in this fascinating journey. Since I moved to Macduff 3 years ago, I have always felt welcome here from the very first day. And as a Pole, married to the son of one of the soldiers who settled here in the UK, I'm grateful for the chance to give back something to the community here. But this would not be possible, and we wouldn't be standing here if not for the determination and efforts of one man who you know very well, Adam Gołębiewski, who put this project in motion, trying to learn more about his grandfather, Stanisław Gołębiewski, one of the Polish soldiers stationed here in Duff House. Stanisław Gołębiewski's story is on this board, and you will learn that he was a very good, loyal and disciplined soldier, that here in Duff he had a beautiful garden, but maybe most importantly, that he was a truly wonderful, amazing father. And I wonder if the families of Polish soldiers, all of you gathered here today, are not the most important legacy of this brave man, the proof how love prevails. And also one more bridge between Poland and Scotland, the eagle and the unicorn. We present to you today the result of 1 year of our work, but we do hope that it is just the beginning of the process of reclaiming the stories of Polish soldiers, just a starting point. And as we speak today, there are more stories coming, more families coming forward, sharing with us and with the Scottish public these remarkable tales of courage and determination. We hope to continue our work, but for now, please enjoy getting to know these amazing 15 men and 1 woman. Thank you.